Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. How's everybody doing this evening?
We got quite a crowd in there this evening.
Yes, thank you, Scott. I see you. Britt, thank you for being here and helping a mod. Wendy, Tracy,
thank you,
Jennifer.
Scott. I see you. Britt, thank you for being here.
Got my phone going in the background. Okay, we'll turn that off.
Holy crow.
Crunch, hi. Jennifer. All right. So what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of go over the recent, what's been going on. Of course, we all know that there's a fifth arrest today. We had been expecting that. I'm very happy that it happened. So we're just going to kind of go over that, go over the affidavit. It basically reads the same. There's just a little bit, different from the others. So we'll just go through that real quick. And then how about we just do a live call in and you guys call in, let us know your thoughts, your opinions, and that kind of thing.
Let's do it.
All right. So first of all, Jilian and Veronica. Jilian was 39 years old. Veronica, 27. They were driving to pick up Jillian's kids for visit. And or pick up Veronica's kids. I don't know why I typed Jillian's. And that was on March 30th, 24. They were blocked in and unable to escape, and things went very bad from there. The main suspect right away was the children's paternal grandmother, Tiffany Adams. And we now know that 5 arrests have been made. Jen Gerard, thank you so much for becoming a member. Really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody that is here. So we know originally these 4 on the left were arrested on the 13th. On the top left is Tad Cullum, bottom left Tiffany Adams. They are together and have been for quite many years, 9, 10 years, something like that. And then on the right is obviously Cole and Cora Twombly. They've been together about 8 years. And then today we had the 5th arrest, and this is Paul Grice. So we really were waiting for that. OSBI put out a statement today as the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation continues to its investigation into the deaths of 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jilian Kelley. An additional arrest was made today on April 24th. Based on the evidence and information gathered from the case, 31-year-old Paul was arrested and booked into the Texas County Jail on 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. So all the same charges as the other 4. Both Butler and Kelley, like I said a little bit ago, went missing on March 30th. They were found deceased in rural Texas County on April 14th. This is still an ongoing investigation. So you guys have heard Tara and I over and over say, we think that there'll be more arrests, and I still feel that way. So it's still an ongoing investigation. And again, the OSBI thanks the Texas County Sheriff's Office and the Oklahoma Highway Patrol for assisting with the arrest. And so this is the guy that was arrested today. This is Paul Jeremiah Grice. He's 31 years old. His warrant was actually issued today, and he was arrested today. So we had kind of wondered if maybe there was a sealed warrant back in the beginning, but it doesn't appear that way, does it, Tara? Looks like
not that I could tell.
Just today it was issued.
Yeah.
So he was booked in Texas County Jail. 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, 1 count conspiracy to commit murder in first degree. On July 6th of 23, Paul, and who we believe to be his significant other, filed to repudiate and revoke their United States citizenship. Also filing at that time were Barrett, Lacey, Claire, and Chloe Cook. Chloe recently married Cole Twombly's son, Frank Twombly. We are also told, I was told about, a week ago, I think, that basically Paul had told his wife, now this is, we can't verify this. This is just kind of information that we're getting repeatedly. But Paul had basically told his wife he was going to go to the grocery store. He didn't come back. And then the rumor is that he was hiding out at the Cook's residence and that he possibly had turned himself in today. We can't verify that, obviously, but it looks like it went fairly easy anyway.
Well, I think the affidavit, when you get to that part, that's going to be very telling as well.
Yes,
It kind of flirts with the idea that he probably turned himself in.
I think so too. So real quick, there's just this short video here.
Good afternoon. I'm Julia Thatcher.
I'm Jeff Herndon. We begin with breaking news this afternoon.
A on suspicion of murder in connection to the deaths of Jilian, Kelley, and Veronica Butler. According to court documents, Paul Grice is also facing.
So while we're getting things situated on the screen, you guys can be filling the chat with questions, comments,
say a family member
things that you've been noticing, things you've seen in the group chat or the Facebook group. It's been heavy active.
The deaths of Jilian.
Thank you. There's been a lot of compliments that way. Thank you very much.
Of investigation.
Right, I think you're biased. Hello, Mama. Mama Moo, we've seen you before. Anna Allen, I have seen you all over the Facebook group. Thank you for your engagement there. It is awesome to see somebody keeping
what is behind
the conversation going, keeping that,
and did not
keeping
receive
things
an
moving
answer.
on there.
KSN does not typically name suspects until they are
I'm
charged.
pretty sure you're one of the mods' favorites. You don't tend to cause a whole lot of problems.
Decided to name Grice. Coming up on KSN News at 5.
See what else is in the chat.
David, and what it says Grice.
How do you become a member?
Yes.
I think you go to Kari. Kari, I don't know if you know, but you're mute. I think you go to Kari's channel and you can look there to become a member. You subscribe, you can get all the notifications.
Yeah, just right below the video, it should say join, and you can join right there. You just click on it, and then you can become a member very easily.
Yep. Real quick thing. Okay, yep, that one. Do you think there will be more arrests? Yes, I do.
Yes, I do as well.
Well,
we've always thought that from the get-go.
Yeah.
We've thought that.
Yeah, we thought there'd be several arrests. Will you highlight Cheryl's? Yep, since nobody seems to have heard of God's Misfits, does anyone else think the group was named for people involved in this premeditated evil crime? So it's actually not God's Misfits. There is an actual organization called God's Misfits out of New Mexico. And so that was the first way that group was identified to us. And since then, we have been corrected that it's just misfits. And it was a joke when these people that went to these other churches, they didn't really care for everything those churches were teaching and preaching about. So they kind of left. They kind of found each other. They hang out. They do their own version of their church, whatever that means to them. And then I think it was Cole who coined the term misfits, and it kind of stuck.
Right.
They're not so happy about it now, rightfully so. So it's not God's Misfits. I know that there is a major news outlet that continues to call them that, and that is incorrect. We have verified that one is not God's Misfits. It is just misfits.
Yes. Jennifer says, I believe his wife knew and will be arrested since they had meetings at their home. Well, they did have meetings. I don't know, at Paul's home. Are you talking about which wife?
I want to say Grice because that was a pre-mentioned.
Oh, did they have meetings at his home too?
That I've heard that. It's not something I've been able to validate, but I've heard Cook's and Grice's and Twombly's all had meetings. If not at the school, then they would rotate.
Right. That wouldn't surprise me. Does anyone think they're going to go after the judge? Well, the law enforcement most definitely did, because the one judge has been under protection since the women went missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's several judges that are involved in this. You've got the judge that went missing. She's in protective custody. You've got one judge that was essentially fired, who's not technically a judge because he wasn't elected to the position. He was appointed. There's a few different judges out there.
Yeah, Judge Larson is the one I'm talking of. And yeah, Judge Larson was also involved in Tad's divorce. I mean, pretty common. There's probably not a whole lot of judges out there, So we've seen her name, repeatedly. In fact, Tad actually did like, I don't know, I've got the paperwork. It's like a civil suit, something like that, where it was Tad versus Judge Larson.
Yeah. So you are all blessings. On another note, I know the David Schultz case from Iowa was brought up in a post. His body was just found in a field. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm not familiar with the case. I will go look up that one. The Cooks are next to be arrested. I think that is a common feel
Yes, I do
within the
too.
Facebook group. It would not surprise me. I'm a little surprised they haven't been yet, but maybe that's to come. I have a hard time believing people are named in an affidavit
Right.
that aren't a witness in the affidavit, but are they? So I
Yeah,
don't know.
they're not named as witnesses to anything, so that
Yeah.
makes you think. Yeah.
So
What took so long? Yeah, you want to answer that one, Tara? I think
what
we
took
both
so long?
think the same way.
What took so long? What took so long for him to get arrested, and why did they question him or release him? So, again, I know a news outlet was reporting that Grice had been questioned and released. I had not heard that. Kari had not heard that. We couldn't find anybody to validate that. What we had been told, and actually, Kari and I came back with the same information to one another, and the whole "did you hear?" in our conversations that Paul Grice had told his wife, "I'm going to go to the store, be back later," and he didn't come home. That was what we were told, that he was on the run.
Yep.
And we had several folks that were giving us that information out. If this main source was all the same, don't know. And so our understanding is they never had Paul Grice, but a news outlet was reporting they had, but they weren't saying
They didn't
anything
say his
to that.
name, so it was kind of assumed. 'Cause
They did say his
did they
name.
say his name? Oh my
But they didn't
goodness.
say which. They didn't say which law enforcement entity. They just said law enforcement, and so it's one of those almost like a National Enquirer headline, like clickbait almost.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we can't verify that he was ever questioned and released, because OSBI was looking for him, and just like everybody else.
Yeah, and it doesn't say in the affidavit that he was questioned previously. It discusses
Correct.
being questioned today, so I don't think that's who. If they did question somebody else, I don't think it was Paul. I don't think they
I don't think
really.
so either.
They might have known
Yeah.
where Paul was. They were just kind of waiting for him maybe to come out to avoid another situation. But
I know they questioned the cooks several times. That information came to me
yes.
on multiple occasions this week. It was really shaking the cooks up. Hey, looky
Thank
there.
you,
You got a
Shelley.
YouTube member. That
Thank you
is so
so much.
cool. That's awesome. What else we got in there? I'm kind of wondering about that too. They were watching the kids at the time, so I guess we'll find out later what their involvement was, if any. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're done with the cook's name at
No,
all. Why turn yourself in and admit it if you are an American nationalist and the law doesn't apply to you, right? So, what I will say is, I had gotten information that said Paul was going to turn himself in. There was more to that, and from what I understand on the information I was given today, it was that American nationalist thing is not about being property of the state, property of the country. It's about being property of God. And it sounds to me like somebody hit a nerve, is what it
Yeah.
kind of sounds like. And that's why maybe the moral compass was shift. Is Frank next? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. I can't imagine being in his position with his brother
No.
passing away a few years ago, his dad and stepmom involved in all this, his stepsister
And
involved,
stepbrother. Yeah.
oh yeah. I maybe he feels left out, or maybe he isn't. I don't know.
I don't know.
That'll be very interesting to see what happens. We've
But
tried to reach
Frank,
out to him.
Frank, if you're watching, message me back.
Or you can message me or
Yeah.
message somebody.
Promise to be nice.
You
Yeah.
can yell at me. Won't hurt my feelings.
Right? Wouldn't be the first time, that's for sure.
No.
Does anyone think that Wrangler will be arrested? I don't.
I'll say it like this, not on anything related to this case.
Right.
Only because he's been arrested so many times before. He doesn't do well with trauma and a lot of pressure, it sounds like. And so I don't know what the future holds for him. I hope he finds his way.
I do too.
Hey, Rain's got the idea.
Yeah, definitely. Please hit the like button. So was his late arrest because of him renouncing his U.S. citizenship? Did that actually prevent them from arresting when they? No, I don't think so. I think that they may not have. Well, they might have had eyes on him, but I think once he found out that he might be in deep water, I think he took off, just like we just said, and they just kind of waited for him to come out. And I believe that that's.
Yeah. It's a good talking point for a caller who wants to call in I'm certainly open to theorizing and playing devil's advocate on that kind of conversation piece to really get the creative juices flowing, the thoughtful juices flowing.
Yeah.
I believe guilty was getting Grice. I believe, I think what you meant to say, Rain, was I believe guilt was getting right, Grice, and he turned himself in. Hopefully he turns on the others. Wait until we read the affidavit.
Right. Yeah. I
You,
think you could be right, Rain.
I think
Somebody
so.
might have had some actual, conscience in all of
Mhm.
it.
I know you have to keep sources confidential. Would you be able to say yes or no to the following question? Have you talked to any family members of the accused when y'all were out there or through messages? I wasn't the one that was out there. That was you, Kari. So I don't know if you talked to any family members while you were out there. If you can
No,
say,
I didn't talk to any of the accused
accused.
family members while I was there. I think that we have communicated somewhat with them,
Mhm.
with some in messaging, but no, I didn't. I didn't meet many of them when I was there for sure.
Right. Now I've talked with family members of the impacted, but not the accused. I don't think I've talked to many of the accused. I don't know if they would tell me if they were one of those family members. So I think it would be hard to get evidence against the Cooks. I don't know what the OSBI knows, but they've been sneaky, right? They've
They
not told us they
have. They've
had.
done really good.
Yeah, they didn't. They wanted to say we don't have any suspects. We have no more suspects. It's like, but you have an affidavit with another guy's name. How do you not have another suspect? So I think there's more to come.
Definitely.
I've heard on other channels that people in the area are afraid of these people and no one wants to say anything publicly for fear of retribution. Is that what you have heard too? Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. More times than one. Didn't the Cooks say the kids weren't there, but they were?
I have been told that multiple times.
I've heard it before, but I think that's because I think it was mentioned in a previous live.
Right. While they were still going to school and stuff,
Mhm.
it seems like I can't remember the exact conversations, but I did have a couple of conversations with people, and it said, well, the kids are in school. Law enforcement was trying to talk to them, but they were basically hiding them out at the Cooks. And if you think back to the OSBI's, the few press conference things that they did do,
Mhm.
in one of them, he was specifically asked, have you made contact with the kids? And he skirted around that question. So that's why I
Yeah.
tend to believe this.
Yeah, he said we have eyes on them.
Hmm. Like they knew where they were, but they hadn't been able to get to them, I
Right.
think. So, thank you,
Thanks,
Mermaid Rain.
Renee. That's awesome. We're happy to be here. So I talked to a friend who spent time in federal prison and asked about this sovereign thing. He said it's hard to prosecute and arrest them, but if they community harm against if they commit harm against human, then yes. But oh, I'd really like for you to expound upon. Oh, they also give up their birth name, and the fact that he hired a lawyer already seems like Grice doesn't fully follow sovereign law, even though he filed it. I think the courts actually like they will, don't they give you an attorney whether you want it or not at first, Kari? Isn't
Yes,
that part of the
yes.
process? So he
Hmm.
doesn't have a choice in that one whether he likes it or not.
Yep.
At this point in time, I'm kind of curious if he just hasn't given up on the whole sovereign thing, American state, like he's just in that point. I'm kind of wondering if he doesn't feel defeated, and I have a lot of questions.
Is it true or a rumor that Grice was injured? I think that's a rumor. We've also heard that that he let his beard grow out. I mean, we've heard quite a few of those rumors,
Is
but
that what that I saw some
yes.
comments on Facebook about how he grew the beard in 2 days, and I thought,
And then, like,
"That"
the split down his beard is because
right?
it was, I mean, yeah, we've heard some rumors,
I
but
just thought he looked unhealthy. I didn't think
I did
anything of
too.
it.
I definitely think those are just rumors. I truly do.
They're fun rumors to talk about at this point.
Right?
I'm very interested in the
And it's funny
creativity of
because
the
people
group.
can look at a picture and they can, if you want to see something there, you'll see it there. It happened with the Summer Wells case. People saw all sorts of things, and I'm
Oh,
smashing my head on my desk going, no, it's not there. But if you
it's
want to find it, you very well may. I find it rich that Tiffany did not relinquish citizenship and takes money from USDA. Well, I don't think she would have relinquished any of that, for one, because of the custody battle. I just don't think that. And then, like we discussed the other night, that she was on so many different boards that did give her a little bit of, upper hand power, however you want to say it, in the community.
Yeah. I think they had to figure out exactly what to do with him. Do you mean Grice, Katie? And I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I'm just presuming that's Katie. Yeah, and let me know if you're talking about Grice. And they may have been. Who knows? That's interesting. So, Tara, you heard from a source that he was feeling guilty. Paul. Yes, that is what I had heard. But it came in quick. As soon as I talked to Kari, the next thing I know, she's telling me, hey, Paul's arrested. So it was a very quick turnaround of information. Very
and
quick.
Really, we have gotten very, very good sources, and we don't listen to like the first person that says it. I mean,
it takes some.
Yeah.
We've heard some things. We're like, oh, that's interesting. Well, that one we're going to hold here because we'll see what happens with that one.
Right. Definitely, Jen. Thank God for the 16-year-old. Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's a good question, Spring Sellers. If the cooks say they didn't know about the murders ahead of time and had no involvement, why did they let Grice hide out there? Why did, what were they told about the birthday party and Veronica picking them up that day? They had those kids overnight the night before and until noon that day. They know, you would think they know Veronica gets her visitation every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to find all that stuff out, all those juicy details for sure. Do we know if Cora's honest hero daughter is in protective custody? Does she have a close relationship with her bio dad? Yes and yes.
Mm-hmm.
Paul's arrest certainly makes. I mean, how often do you get a case like this where you have 5 people arrested for the murders of these 2 women? One completely, I mean, they're both innocent, but one completely innocent. It's kind of wild. We don't see it happen very often. Yep, that's right, Regret. They attended a wedding with the cooks on Friday night before this.
Yes.
They sure did.
Yes.
Okay, so the Cook's kids, though, they are homeschooled. They still have 2 minors. So I believe they have 8 kids total, but 2 are still underage. Their kids have all been homeschooled. Veronica's children, now, they went to a private Christian school, but it's more like a homeschool co-op kind of situation than a regular school or even a private school. In Keys.
That one was...
Right, Rain? All suspects seem to rally back at the Cooks.
Mm-hmm. Paul didn't seem to have injuries on his hands in the mugshot, but it's been 2 weeks. I noticed a lot of people trying to look at the mugshots.
Right.
Injury. That's very interesting to me. Everybody keeps looking for that. So I want you guys to detail that a little bit more. That's interesting. Hey, you got a new sub. Looky there, Jen.
Yeah, Jen. Awesome. Yes. And also the Facebook group, the link is in every single one of these videos on Veronica and Jilian. So the link for the Facebook group, the link for their GoFundMes, all of that information is in the description of the videos. So Veronica's kids, they went to that Christian co-op school.
Yes. Yes, Grice. And yes, you pronounce it right. But also I was told that they gave up birth name and identity and identify more by social security number and live off of the trust of the land treasury. He was quiet. As far as I know, Paul Jeremiah Grice is his given name.
Mm-hmm.
His father was, I don't know if his father's still with us or not, but he grew up a pastor's kid, living off, doing the typical cowboy thing at a very young age.
I think he was the youngest of 8 children.
I think you're right. I think he was out there hunting and fighting off coyotes at the age of 8, according to a article that we've recently read on a live or 2 ago. I don't know about the social security number. Is it Grice's brother that's running for sheriff?
It's his cousin.
Okay. I know it seems like everybody's related down there, so
they are. Yeah.
It's a spider web of stuff, but we'll get through it. It's all good. Kendra, 5 people, 4 phones, and 2 at the burial site, which had 2 phones at the site, in your opinion? Come at us with that. Redo that. I want to make sure I understood.
5 people, 4 phones, and two of the phones at the burial site, which had the 2 phones at the site, in your opinion? Well, it is in the new affidavit of Paul's. I believe Paul was actually there.
So there's 5 people and 3 burner phones. I don't know where the other phone came into play, but if you're talking about the phones, there's 3 burner phones that were included, right?
I believe so. I'm going to go over that here in just a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has heard or not, but Brian Hinton just reported that neither of the ladies were shot per the medical examiner. Makes my heart hurt so bad knowing this. Yeah, that's what they've reported that before, that they weren't shot, but we didn't really know where that was coming from.
And that report from the ME came out a week ago. That's not new.
Juicy Jules. No, I've been here for like 3 years, but really pretty new to live streaming. Usually I just created videos. And Bridget said, Jillian was a friend of mine, so I'm praying for very swift justice. Glad they are getting everyone involved. Yes. Hi, Sonia.
Hello, Sonia.
That's correct. It's Leroy. Leroy's correct. When I was saying that, I'm thinking, wait, that's not the right person.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, it's Clint Twombly, which is Cole's cousin. He has him listed as his brother on Facebook for some reason, but that's actually his cousin.
They may be close, like brothers then.
Right.
Hello, Lynn. We heard from you the other night. We're glad to have you back. Lynn was the brave soul that started all the phone.
She was. She was very brave. Awesome. Do you have any ideas about how Paul got involved with the Ford to this extent? I understand similar beliefs. I think Paul almost could have been one of the originators, ringleaders. I don't know what you want to call it, right along with Cole and Barrett. But I don't know how Tiffany was able to get all 4 other people to help her pull this off. That's crazy.
And if we get into theory talk later on, I have some theories about that one. I've done some thinking on that. What else have we got? You guys are active tonight. This is awesome. Let's see. Blushing. Lynn's blushing. Let's see. Katie, but when they became sovereign, they are supposed to relinquish their birth name, if that makes sense, since the birth name was given. He explained it well. I'm so intrigued into this, not because I want it. That's not how. I think there's different variations of sovereign citizen depending on where you're at. For this particular region, they use the sovereign citizen to not identify with the local laws, just the Constitution. So they use that to their benefit. Paul's version was the American state national, saying, I don't recognize any laws. God's law is my only law. Clearly, there was some blurry lines there for him. I've not gone down that rabbit hole, Katie, to see the extremes of that, or where they relinquish birth names, things of that nature. But that would be very interesting too, for the same reason. I don't want it for myself, but I would be really interested to see what that all means.
Yeah. And it does look like he does have a social security number and driver's license number on this paperwork. So,
well, and he just did the American state file last summer. So it's not been quite a year for him. Tiffany
regret, that's what we've heard too. She's been quite the bully.
Yeah, that's been very, very common. Sovereign citizen is really a farce when it comes to a legal aspect. They are still arrested, charged, have trial, and are found guilty, just like everyone else. We're going to find out, aren't we? But again, these aren't sovereign citizens. I mean, Tiffany has supposedly claimed it from time to time, because you don't have to file anything to claim it down there, to my understanding. But the American state national, either way, they can still be arrested.
Yeah. Do we want to read through this all again?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think if everybody's pretty familiar with the most part, it's that end part that captured my attention, because I think everything is the same until the end, right? But
it is. Yep.
We can let the
all the same. If you want me to read the whole thing, put a 1 in the chat. If not, then put a 2. Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people are coming in new to it, haven't actually heard it. Right. So yeah, absolutely, we will.
That will be great.
All right, so let me get started. Can you see the screen pretty good there, Tara?
I can't see it. However,
Okay.
let me see. Yeah, you've got plenty of people who want you to read. Can you guys see her screen? It doesn't share with me like it does you guys. So I'm going to pull it up on my own screen in case I need to support you, Kari. Have the cooks been interrogated? As far as I understand, multiple times. Can you see Kari's screen? Can you see the affidavit on the screen? Somebody let me know. Yes, they can see it. So go for it.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to skip over the charges. We know what those are. They have 5 counts each.
Mm-hmm.
The witness list, and this is what we were saying earlier, again, cooks are not on this witness list.
Da, 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 da.
Jamie Beasley is. That's where the property was discovered. Cheryl Brune, that's the other lady that was supposed to be supervising the visit that was told not to go.
Before you get corrected, it's Bruni. Somebody's going to let us know.
Bruni, that's right. Bruni.
That's right.
I know Melissa Padilla, she is Veronica's, I believe it's aunt, and they are the ones that actually found the vehicle. So that the rest are all really, the rest are all like OSBI, Texas County Sheriff's Office, things like that. So it's always interesting to see who is not on the witness list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Regrets that I know for a fact that Barrett Cook was brought in and questioned. Yep, we've heard that multiple times. All right, so the probable cause for arrest warrant. I am Special Agent Jason Ott of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. I've been a law enforcement officer in the states of Kansas and Oklahoma for approximately 27 years and served in the capacity of an investigator for over 20 years. I've read and prepared certain official investigative reports and statements of witnesses regarding the above-named defendant, Paul Jeremiah Grice. And from these statements and reports, it appears as follows. On Saturday, March 30th, 24, the Texas County Sheriff's Office requested Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation investigative services with the suspicious disappearance of Veronica Butler, 27, and Jilian Kelley, 39, from rural Texas County after their vehicle was found abandoned near Highway 95 and Road L, south of Elkhart, Kansas. Butler and Kelley were traveling to Oklahoma from Hugoton, Kansas. Interviews were conducted related to the disappearance, and it was discovered that Butler was in a problematic custody battle with Tiffany Adams for the custody of Butler's 2 children. The father of those children was Wrangler Rickman, Adams' son. Butler's visitation with her children was court-ordered to be supervised every Saturday. Adams had a particular person she preferred to supervise those visitations, and that was Cheryl Bruni. The court ordered Adams to pay for Bruni to supervise visits, if that was who she wanted to be present. Otherwise, Butler was to pay for the person to supervise. Adams said Bruni was unavailable to supervise the visitation on March 30th, 24, so Butler was required to arrange the supervision with one of her 3 approved individuals. Butler contacted Jilian Kelley of Hugoton, Kansas, and planned to have her supervise the visit. Butler told family members she was going to pick up her children from Adams at 10 a.m. at Four Corners. Butler and Kelley left Hugoton, Kansas, and traveled to Highway 95 and Road L, about 5 miles north of Four Corners. Butler and Kelley arrived at that location at approximately 9:40 a.m. Butler planned to bring her daughter to a birthday party, but after they didn't arrive, the family began looking for Butler. Melissa and Joey Padilla, who are Butler's family members, located Butler's abandoned vehicle just west of the intersection off Highway 95 and Road L. The Padillas then contacted law enforcement at 12:09 in the afternoon. An examination of the vehicle and areas surrounding the vehicle found evidence of a severe injury. Blood was found on the roadway and edge of the roadway. Butler's glasses were also found in the roadway south of the vehicle near a broken hammer. A pistol magazine was found inside Kelley's purse, but no pistol was found. Adams told OSBI that on Friday night, the 29th of March, Rickman and Butler's children stayed the night with Barrett and Lacey Cook. Adams said she planned to pick them up that morning before visitation. Adams said she called Butler at 9 o'clock in the morning to confirm the meeting with Butler, meeting, and Butler told Adams something came up and she was not going to make it. Butler's phone records confirmed the call. However, at the time of the call, Butler was in Hugoton, Kansas, in the process of picking Kelley up to go meet Adams. Adams stated she was home at the time that Butler and Kelley went missing. Adams picked the children up before noon from the cook's residence. OSBI interviewed Bruni, and she said she was available to supervise a visit that day, but Adams told her to take a couple of weeks off from the visitation so that Adams could question the children related to how Butler's approved visitation supervisors were. Butler and Kelley's phone records indicated their devices were actively sending signals to their carriers until approximately 9:42 a.m., after which the devices were no longer seen by the networks and stopped transmitting. Neither phone was found at the scene or within the vehicle, and they are currently missing. So I think this hasn't been updated. So the rumors that the phones were buried with them and stuff, those I don't think are going to be correct. Neither phone was found at the scene or within the vehicle, and they are currently missing. Adams was the last known person to communicate with Butler and was scheduled to meet Butler and Kelley for visitation at 10 a.m. on March 30th. Through the child custody case, recordings were obtained where Rickman discussed death threats by Adams and Adams' boyfriend, Tad Cullum. The custody battle began in February of 2019, with many hearings and court appearances. On March 18th, 24 and March 20th, 24, motions were filed requesting extended visitation for Butler. A hearing was scheduled to occur on April 17th. Butler's attorney informed OSBI that Butler was likely to receive unsupervised visitation with her children at that hearing. At times, Adams refused to let Rickman have his children, even though Rickman had legal custody of them. Law enforcement previously responded to a call for service where Adams refused to give Rickman his children. Reportedly, the officer told Rickman he believed the children were better off in Adams' care. Rickman's grandmother, Debbie Davis, reported that in mid to late February of 24, Rickman told her they didn't have to worry about the custody battle much longer because Adams had it under control, that Adams knew the path the judge walked to work, and, quote unquote, we will take out Veronica at drop-off. Rickman was confirmed to be in a rehabilitation facility in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, at the time of the disappearance. The children remain in the custody of Adams. Rickman denied having that conversation with his grandmother. On April 1st of 24, OSBI agents obtained a search warrant for Adams' cellular phone. OSBI agents performed an extraction of the device. Information gained from the device included web searches for laser pain level, gun shops, prepaid cellular phones, and how to get someone out of their house. On April 3rd of 24, OSBI interviewed CW, age 16. CW is the daughter of Cora and Kobe White. Cora Twombly and Kobe White. Cora is married to Cole Twombly. CW stated that she had overheard group conversations related to Butler not protecting her children from her brother, all in reference to a SA allegation. CW advised that she was told by Cora that Adams, Cullum, Cora, Cole, and Paul Grice were involved in the deaths of Butler and Kelley. She stated that Adams provided burner phones to use so they could communicate without using their personal devices. CW saw 2 burner phones charging on Cora's nightstand in her bedroom. CW described Cora, Cole, Adams, Cullum, Paul Grice as being part of an anti-government group that had a religious affiliation. Through OSBI investigation, it was learned that they called their group God's Misfits. Regular meetings are held weekly at Twombly's and the home of Barrett and Lacey Cook. CW was told by Cora on March 29th that Cora and Cole would not be home in the morning when she woke and that they were going to be on a quote-unquote mission. When CW awoke at approximately 10 a.m., Cora and Cole were not home, but came home around noon. CW knew that Cole and Cora took a blue and gray Chevy pickup owned by them and a blue flatbed pickup owned by Clint Twombly when they left and returned in the same vehicles. CW was told to clean the interior of the Chevrolet pickup. CW asked Cora what happened and was told that things did not go as planned, but that they would not have to worry about her, meaning Butler, again. CW was told that Cora and Cole blocked the road to stop Butler and Kelley and divert them to where Adams, Colum, and Grice were. CW asked about Kelley and why she had to die and was told by Cora that she wasn't innocent either, as she had supported Butler. CW asked Cora if their bodies were put in a well, and Cora replied something like that. CW also disclosed that other attempts to kill Butler occurred during February of 24 near Hugoton, Kansas, in which Adams, Colum, and Cora went to Hugoton, but Butler did not leave her residence. This is consistent with the web search discovered on Adams' phone about how to get someone out of their house. According to Cora, the plan was to throw an anvil through Butler's windshield while driving, making it look like an accident because anvils regularly fall off work vehicles. OSBI investigation showed that Adams searched for gun shops on her phone. A search of local gun shops showed Adams buying 5 stun guns at the Big R store in Guyman, Oklahoma. That purchase was made on March 23rd. OSBI investigation showed that Adams purchased 3 prepaid cellular phones from Walmart in Guyman on February 13th. We'll skip the phone numbers. Search warrants for information related to location services and phone usage were completed for each device. It was learned that all 3 phones were at the area where Butler's car was located and the last known location of Butler and Kelley at the time of their disappearance. All 3 phones were powered on and accessed the cellular network for the first time at or near Colum's residence at different times prior to March 30th. On March 30th, those phone numbers before Butler and Kelley's disappearance were at or near Colum's residence. After Butler and Kelley's disappearance at 10:05 and 10:16 hours, phone numbers were in the area at or near Colum's residence. After Butler and Kelley's disappearance on March 30th between 10:16 and 10:35, it was determined that phones were at a property owned by Jamie Beasley below a dam in the pasture where fresh dirt work was located. Concrete was moved from a location near Beasley's residence, approximately 150 to 200 yards below the dam, where it was discovered that a hole had been dug and filled back in and then covered with hay. The location where Butler and Kelley disappeared from and where Butler's vehicle was located is approximately 8.5 miles away from the location below the dam on Beasley's property, giving drive time from the location of where Butler's vehicle was located to Beasley's property well within the 34 minutes between the time of Butler and Kelley's phones stopping transmission and the prepaid phones arriving at the dam on Beasley's property. All prepaid phones stopped transmitting on the morning of March 30th at locations near Twombly's residence and Beasley's property. OSBI learned that Grice, Colum, and Adams had cell phone conversations amongst each other on March 30th in the morning hours prior to the disappearance of Butler and Kelley. Grice and Colum were together at Grice's home after the disappearance after 11 a.m. on the same day. OSBI showed that Adams had searched for gun shops on her phone. A search of local gun shops showed her buying 5 stun guns at the Big R store in Guyman. That was on March 23rd. On April 13th, a search warrant was executed at Beasley's property and an excavation of a possible burial site was commenced. On April 14th, the hole was excavated. The bodies of Butler and Kelley were located. April 23rd, Grice was interviewed and admitted that he was a part of the planning and killing of both Butler and Kelley. Grice admitted to Eurofient that he participated in the killing of Butler and Kelley and their subsequent burial. So he completely admitted to it all and burying them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting to me because it's an arrest affidavit. He was interviewed. So it tells me they didn't have to track him down. It sounds to me as though he went to them. That's how I'm receiving it. What do you
Yeah,
think,
because
Kari?
it says, yep, because it says after he spoke with them, then they issued a warrant for his arrest.
Mhm.
So, yep, I think he
Yep.
did turn himself in. All right, we'll put the phone number up here. If any of you want to call in and give us your thoughts, you're more than welcome to.
Don't make me call you out because I'll call people out. Lynn
Right?
started some stuff the other night. We need to up the game.
And also, when you call, it will not announce your number, but do not say like your first and last name or anything like that. So
Yeah.
keep yourself anonymous.
You don't have to announce it. And as that happens again, Kari, if I can't hear, I'll hop out and hop back in. So the system is so kind to me. Let's see. So while we're waiting on somebody to work the phone dial, they have paid attorneys.
I don't think so.
I didn't think that had changed. Where did Ginger tell us more about that?
Well,
what we've
because
seen in the
Tad
court docs-
has a female representing him, but she is from the, so the attorneys, the public defenders, they all rotate, and so they're given the cases, right? And she happens to be one of them. I think because she claims to have such a good track record, she's high priced attorney, that kind of thing. People are thinking that he hired her, but as of now, it looks like they are getting public defenders.
Yep, I think so. What else we have in there? What is the difference between taking responsibility and confessing murder? I learned this to everybody the other night, as intelligent as that sounds. So it's very important. Those two words are very different. The fact that there is in responsibility and admission, I believe, are synonymous. So Paul's admitting versus Paul's confession. They're being very specific, I think, in how they word that in the affidavit. Responsibility essentially means that you understand the facts of the case. You've been able to share the facts of the case, but you're not saying it's not a confession. It's not a full confession, but you understood things happened. Now that's important because in a confession, you can recant. You can say, y'all forced me to say it. Y'all pressured me. I felt like I had to say things to get out of here. But when you admit or take responsibility, you cannot recant that. That's why they kept saying they have a recording of Tiffany's responsibility. And now Paul admits. So they're being very careful in their wording because confessions can be recounted. Now, if our lawyer is on the line, and Jill, I hope you are here, then correct me, confirm me, completely tell me I'm a moron. I don't care. But that is the research I have come up with.
Yeah, I think that's a very good explanation.
I try. That's all I can do.
You do a great job.
Oh, thanks. You like me.
Let's see.
Anyone else noticed that Kevin McIntyre was the cop that arrested Wrangler and is also on the friends list of murderers? Something about this guy seems like he is part of this somehow. So, again, silence is golden.
Right.
I'm going to say this because I do want to be transparent. I don't know what he has done.
Right.
I do know people have written things about him. I do know I've not received positive things, but I think Kari's had mixed messages about him. So I don't put him in the good guy pile yet necessarily. I'm open to his involvement emerging throughout this. We haven't seen anything concrete. How about that? I'll be as cryptic and as fun as possible. I believe KM is also the officer that told Veronica they were no longer going to provide her a civil standby during exchanges because he did not see a threat.
It's highly possible.
That would align with some of the stuff I've heard. I've not heard that specifically, but that would feed into my theories. Granny is coming in hot with a whole team of attorneys. EOA for 4 different attorneys filed today with motion for discovery. EOA, Kari, what is that?
I'm not sure. EOA.
KK is going to have to tell us. You get to educate us. That would be awesome.
Entry of affidavit. I don't know. That's a guess. That's a wild guess. But let me look. So we're saying that Tiffany has attorneys. Let me look.
A whole team of attorneys. So, KK, I'd love to talk to you more about that. I've not heard that one, but I have questions, inquiries, and a screen that is showing me that I am stalled.
Look at all these that Grandma has.
What is?
These are all of her cases in Oklahoma.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Crazy.
She's awesome.
I mean, look at this. Holy moly. All right. So
She's all over it.
Yes, she is. Let's see what she's got here.
An EOA, KK, I'm gonna just kind of scroll through these comments. Can you tell us, inform us, what is an EOA? For 4 different attorneys filed today with motion for discovery. I have all the questions about that. Let's see.
So she has M. Solomon, R. Seeley, A. Richard, and M. Hansen.
That's interesting. Okay.
And she filed a motion for discovery. That's normal. Motion to inspect and examine physical evidence and prevent the destruction, consumption of sample without notice. All right. So it looks like I'll have to get that. I'll have to get the motion for discovery and see if these attorneys are private paid or if they are court appointed.
I'm sending the message now, Kari. I can't type.
Hi, Shane. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of you being here.
Okay. I would imagine it would be brought up in the trials possibly. You moved faster than I speak. KK, not surprising. She will try to slither out of responsibility because she has money. Gross. My understanding, she doesn't have money. She's got land. She's cash poor, but land rich. She owns a lot of land or has control. She's got a lot of influence due to the amount of land that she owns out there. Hello, Pioneer. Pine Needle. I did it again. Ugh. I quit.
What'd you
She's still
do?
gonna do live. I called Pine Needle Protagonist comes in and is one of our, I say our like it's our channel, it's your channel, one of your constants on here. And I always call them Pioneer, and they're not Pioneer, they're Pine Needle. But my eyes want to play tricks on me. Oh, interesting. Rain asks, has your perspective, and she's asking both of us, he or she, Rain, asks, you and I both, has your perspective changed at all on Frank Twombly through your research and people reaching out to you? No, not really. I don't know. I'm not convinced of one thing or another when it comes to him. I'm just not sure what to think about him. Pine is fine. Pine Needle. Pine is fine. That's cute. Entry of appearance. Somebody nailed it for us. Entry of appearances.
There we go.
You're outstanding, Johanna.
That sounds about right.
I liked yours. I liked your guess. I think this one might make a little better sense. Oh, Tad has only one attorney. She's going to do live. This is crazy. All these people got involved just to help Granny kill Veronica and Jilian. This is right out of the TV show Ozark, isn't it, though?
Oh, my gosh,
it has
yes.
Ozark written all over it. Good night.
And I think somebody tried to call a few minutes ago. If you did, try calling back. I didn't have that pulled up, so it didn't notify me of it. But did you say Paul has been hiding the cooks? Didn't someone ask a while back on the Facebook page if Paul is married to one? Paul's not married to one of the cook's daughters. No.
No, and technically he's not legally married because of his. I don't believe he's legally married. I do think he's got a common law type of situation, and I think they have 2 kids, but he's got 3 overall, but 2 with this one. Oh, Kari, you need to. There's an opportunity to clear that one up again. That McIntyre was.
Yeah, so that the one that I saw was actually a Camaro, and it does not come back to McIntyre at all. Now the other nights we couldn't see the vehicles, so I don't know have any idea what type. Was it a truck? Was it a car? Was it a Charger? I mean, it was too dark. We didn't see them. One night they pulled up next to the driver's side door with the lights off, so it's just pitch dark out there on those roads. So. But the one night, the one that I did, the one that I got the tag from, that car is a Camaro, and it's not registered to McIntyre or anybody related to him or anything like that. So, and then go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was just jumping in where I can. I need my readers. Good night. KM has not been home at all. Oh, wait, hold on. I can't read. KM has not been at home all week. Feeling a little heat? Really? Do you live close enough where you can use your goggles to look at him?
Your goggles. Pull out the goggles and then send it to us.
It was not the word I wanted. I can't think. Oh my gosh. I can't think of the word. Binoculars. Where is my brain tonight? And it's cute because Lynn just said I'm not a moron, but I feel like I'm proving her wrong at this point. So I didn't know he hadn't been home all week. That's interesting. Very interesting.
I didn't either.
This is crazy. All these people got involved just to help Granny kill Veronica and Jilian. Yep, this is the Ozark. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we covered that one. We're not sure
how I'm behind over here, aren't I? Oh yeah, I'm way behind.
That's an interesting thing, though, because spouses can't testify against one another. So if Grimy is married, does that mean she will have to testify against him? So that's a very interesting point because they're not supposed to be.
You have a call, so give me a minute.
Nice. Okay.
This is Kari. Thank you for calling. Just don't mention your name. We can hear you.
Hi, it's Han. Oh, yeah, never mind.
That's okay. It didn't slip out.
Okay. I just wanted to call in tonight. I listened to your shows the last couple, the last couple weekends and kind of got caught up, but I think I joined in right when there was lots of comments and talk about Frank for some reason. And I could never figure out what the big deal was about him. I don't know if he was in the group, commenting a lot and then all of it got deleted. Can anybody fill me in on that?
What'd she ask? I missed the first part.
About Frank, in the beginning, there was a lot of talk about him. Can you still not hear her, Tara?
I can. I came in and but I missed the first part of the question.
Yeah. So in the beginning with Frank, yes. As we were headed out to the Plainview school area as a place to search, I got a message from one person that said, do not go out there. My husband, I just drove by. Tiffany Adams chased us down. I said, was she the only one there? They said, no, there was a lot of people there. All right. Well, that didn't really deter me that much. But then all of a sudden, Frank Twombly decided to join the group, which the timing was just suspect, right? I mean, it was really odd timing to say the least. And then right after I let him join, then he proceeded to leave a comment that was basically to the effect of, bring it on, you MFers. We love MFers like you. Can't wait for you MFers, that kind of thing. So we kind of took that as a, threat. And we were like, okay, now we're really not going out there. And thankfully we didn't, because we didn't realize what was going on. You know what I mean? At that time, we didn't realize that there was all this stuff going on out there. We were ready to just walk right up at the, this abandoned school area. So, I mean, everything happened for a reason. We were being looked out for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I wasn't sure and I couldn't never put the pieces together. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And we haven't heard from Frank since. So he hasn't stirred up any problems or left any kind of comments or, he hasn't done anything since. So I'm not really sure, where he's at in this whole picture now.
Mm-hmm. It would be good to talk with him, though.
I can't hear Tara. Can she hear me?
I can hear her. I can hear her just fine.
Oh, she said she can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Somebody asked if Frank Twombly, the one that is married to Cook's daughter. Yes, he is.
Yep.
And Cook's daughter is one that they did file the repudiating their United States citizenship. So it's kind of interesting. But Frank is married to her. They just got married a couple months ago, I believe.
I think so. I like that.
Okay, so with Paul, there's been talk before he was arrested about how he had been interviewed and then let go, and I think it was his neighbor that was on the TV and just said he must not really have anything to do with it. And then I've also seen in the chat too, not this particular show, but where there's been discussion about whoever talks first gets the best deal. Does anybody have any thoughts on Paul possibly working with law enforcement and was the first person to really talk? I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
What are your thoughts on that, Tara? I think, I don't think they're going to need any plea deal. I think they're going to have plenty of information and evidence that they're not going to need anybody to necessarily talk for plea deals or anything like that. That's just my opinion. I don't know. What do you think, Tara?
I know she can't hear me, but I think I kind of lean into what I was told, and based on the affidavit, I do think Paul is, I don't think he's working with law enforcement. I think he may be thinking he's doing the right thing for once in this situation. But I don't think he's going to be doing anybody any favors. I think he's just there to, I'm hoping, I get the feel that he's there to own up to a point, but you get lawyers involved, you get different things involved, and minds change quickly. So it's hard to say what's going to happen from here with him.
And somebody is asking, does Paul live close to Tad? And yes, he sure does.
They all live close to one another. They're within 10-minute drives of each other. Crunch, there was something you said earlier. I need to go back and find that comment. I'm gonna look for that comment. I meant to find that from Crunch earlier. Is the caller still with us? I know.
Yes, she is. Yes.
I wish she could hear me.
I know.
I Discord dislikes me. Or not Discord. What is this? This is StreamYard dislikes me.
StreamYard. She doesn't know where she's at. That's okay.
That's oh, I give up.
Report on Veronica came back. What report, RLT?
And if there's things that you guys want to comment, don't want your name behind, if you didn't think to use a false name or change your name on here, you can just find me on Facebook or on the, you can go to the Facebook group page and you can message us that way. Happy to get your thoughts out there without putting you in danger, because that's been a big deal. So how old is Paul? Paul is 31?
31,
32?
yes.
Okay.
I think he's 31.
Yes.
I think grimy.
I like Katie.
That's cracking me up. I think Grimy went and got his books in a row. He got a lawyer and went to them. He wasn't going in alone. You very well could be right.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
If he took that week to get his stuff in order and things like that.
I'd like to see his phone records.
You can be DNA everywhere. I think so.
I would like for Mark to expound upon that one for me, because I've seen that a few times. So I'm interested in why that rumor is going around, why that thought process is going around. That would be interesting. Yeah.
Give us a call, Mark, and let us know. Now, as far as a medical report, I don't know. I know that I am on the list to receive those as soon as they're finalized, and I haven't received anything yet, so I don't know.
Kari, that's going to be surreal to read that. That is going to be so...
Those are things I don't like reading, but it also explains so much, I mean, it can tell you so much information. So, but no, they're not fun to not fun to read whatsoever. You think Tiffany boasted versus confessed?
That's a good way to put it. I mean, given what we've heard about her, that might be the I could see that as being her taking responsibility and she can't take it back. So I like the way you think, Pine. The characters all remind me of the movie The Devil's Rejects. Now I think I need to go see that movie. That's the first I've heard of that. And that's Mark Blaine saying that I need for you to call in, buddy, because I want to know about this whole DNA thing you're talking about.
Definitely, Mark.
I've heard some stuff, but now I need to know what you're thinking, what you know. Has the cause of death been released for the ladies? The families know, officials know, but it's not being put out there.
Yes.
Not yet. So that's a boundary that nobody wants to cross yet.
I don't want to interrupt anybody, so if anybody's talking.
No, you're fine. Did you have anything more you want to add to it?
Well, at the beginning of the show tonight, you talked a little bit about, you just said something like really kind of fast about how you think Grice came in with maybe a change of heart. Was that according to sources, or can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh, I wish she could hear me.
I'll repeat what you say to her, Tara.
It's like almost like a translation.
I know.
English translate. The idea is that there was, it sounds like there maybe was some sort of feeling of discomfort, turn guilt, turn need to do the right thing. There was some pressure there, it sounds like.
So Tara's saying that what we've been told, understanding, is that there was maybe some pressure on him to like do the right thing, to turn himself in, maybe some, feelings of guilt, that kind of thing. And that, he possibly turned himself in.
So with two, I guess, confessions, which we don't know, like, if Tiffany boasted or not, but with these two, it's really odd for out of the group, two people to kind of admit to their participation at some level.
Oh my gosh, isn't it though?
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, I don't know, I guess I'm not a huge crime junkie, but I just have never heard of it, and I guess I wonder, does that speed things up as far as trial? Like, how does that work, in this case?
I'm not sure how, because if he's Paul, at least we're not real sure. Tiffany's was kind of strange in her admitting to, but Paul just like basically confessed to his role in everything. But I'm sure that they're still going to try to find a loophole. I don't think an attorney's going to let him plead guilty to it. I don't know. It'll really be interesting to see how that plays out, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish I could hear Tara too, but the last question I had was, and maybe you guys talked about it already in a previous, but these defense attorneys for these, people that are accused, how do they defend? Like, how would they? I can't even begin to think about how they would try to get them out. I like to think of, things from all sides, and that particular side, the defense side, I can't figure out how they're going to represent them.
It takes a special kind of person to do their job.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen others be represented that were guilty as could be. I mean, he really doesn't have none of them are, I don't think any of them are ever going to see the light of day again, for sure. I'm surprised if he did get an attorney that he would admit to everything. Because I think an attorney would have told him to not do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the guilt got to him. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the guilt really did get to him. And hopefully, anyway.
It's interesting.
I find it so bizarre, participating in murder, but, and I don't want to be a judgmental person, but then when you put God into it and the Bible and like, that, I think that's pretty much the Bible Belt, maybe, I don't know, but how did they justify all this is just so bizarre.
It is. It's very bizarre. And the only thing I can think of is that Tiffany had them all convinced that these children were in deep, deep danger. And but even still, how do you get 4 other people to cooperate with you on that? I don't know about you guys. I don't know 4 people that are going to help me pull something like this off. I mean,
Right.
most of us don't. So, and it's not normal, they're not even all family or anything like that. So it's just so strange. All right.
And if she was that controlling and if she was that powerful in that community, makes you wonder too what she possibly had on some of them.
Right.
Sounds like she was very manipulative, and her manipulation was all about getting more power.
Yep. I think that was her whole goal, really. I mean, because of the way she treated Wrangler as well. So it wasn't just a Veronica thing. She just wanted those children for that. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. She wanted those children to herself. She very well may have thought they were in danger, but there was that one allegation. I don't know that it was ever substantiated. My understanding is it wasn't. So with that said, how, I don't know.
Well, somebody in the chat had mentioned, or I keep calling it a chat, somebody in the Facebook group tonight mentioned that if she was a president or something over a hospital organization there at the hospital, that person falsely wrote down a report quickly and was fired as a result. And basically Tiffany had said, you're going to write that they had been sexually abused or whatnot.
Yep. That's exactly what I've heard as well. I mean, obviously we can't verify it, but yeah, that's exactly what I have heard.
And I'm a medical personnel myself, and for somebody to have that, I don't know, just to have that much gall to think that they could tell me personally to do something so illegal and wrong.
Right.
I just can't imagine being okay with that,
I can't either. And, so many people have said that Cole and Cora were really nice people once upon a time. So how did they go from being these really nice people to cold-blooded murderers?
Well, and when Cora shook her, I heard there was reports, of course we didn't see in the courtroom, but there was reports that she just shook her head no, and nobody else, none of the other suspects did. They just were kind of stoic. And it just made me think, back to the reports of her being so kind, and people really liking her. I've only seen really one person in the group that, expressed that they'd never liked her. So there has to be some sort of conflict there. But as far as that goes, whenever I heard that she, shook her head no, it made me wonder just like if she was shaking her head no to, I can't believe I got myself into this. I can't believe I was, that kind of thing. Or maybe Tiffany had something over her too, or I don't know.
It's possible, very possible that she did threaten them, offer to pay them. I don't know. In the very beginning, we were told that the people that probably did this, now I think they were talking more about Frank and his wife than they were Cole and Cora. But, they were they were very poor, the type that couldn't keep their power on. And like I said, hindsight, I think they might have been speaking of Frank and his wife. Cole and Cora don't really come off that way to me at all. So, but they could have been threatened. They could have been offered payment, a whole bunch of different, things. It had been something, because you just don't do things like that. That, or they were just so into that religion thing that they're into and their beliefs, that they truly thought that what they were doing was the right thing.
I think
Yeah.
you're spot on with that. I think they felt definitely religiously vindicated that they had the religious power to do what they were planning to do. Doesn't
I have
make it
one more
right.
thought before I get off the phone.
Yeah, go right
Yeah,
ahead.
but I don't want to interrupt. So, okay. So, also in the Facebook group, it was news to me, which I didn't realize, that when Wrangler had been arrested most recently, someone wrote on there that it was Tiffany that set him up on a weapons charge. Is that accurate? Can we confirm that?
Kari, have
Yeah,
your
so I mean, I
okay.
do have on good sources that that is correct. That basically, to make a long story short, she had him hold this weapon. She took a picture and then she called the sheriff on him, and he was already in trouble. And then that got him for that weapons charge. I have heard of that from two close and good sources, but people also, it's hard to know because if it's somebody you're close to, you tend to want to stick up for them. So it's hard to know, is that truly the truth or not? But I could see Tiffany doing something like that. She wanted Wrangler out of the picture just as bad as she wanted Veronica out of the picture.
Agreed.
Well, and I think that confirms to me that she really thought that she was going to get away with this. She had in her mind a master plan. If she could get Wrangler a solid alibi, and Veronica out of the picture and never get caught, then life would go on as normal.
Right. But her and Wrangler weren't even getting along. So I don't think she's going to do anything like try to get Wrangler an alibi. If anything, she would have thrown him under the bus. But yeah, they weren't really speaking. They weren't really getting along.
But with him being, arrested and put in jail for a period of time, was it while he was in jail, then he was court ordered? And who court ordered him to rehab?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know what judge, what did the court order for rehab, Tara?
I don't off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look. At one time, I know it was a conversation. I'd have to go back and look.
But I believe that was when his last charge of assaulting his pregnant wife.
Oh, okay.
I believe that was kind of dismissed, but he had to go to rehab because of it. So, and the story I'm told on that whole issue is that basically Tiffany had always paid for his attorney. Most of he owes an attorney quite a bit of money right now. What I'm told is that Tiffany stopped paying for his attorney. Wrangler got very upset, got drunk, and he went off on people that night. And that was the story that I was told.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't good to him either, and not making excuses for Wrangler, but heck, you don't hardly stand a chance with a mom like her.
Yeah. And he's got two other siblings. Is he the youngest?
Is he the youngest?
I don't
know.
So.
I don't know. I know he's got a brother, and does he have a sister as well?
Yeah, he's got a brother and sister, at least from Tiffany. I don't know about his dad's side, but I think.
And are they local to the same area?
I have not definitively confirmed the brother is in the area. The sister, I don't know.
So yeah, the brother is in the area. He was actually living with Tiffany. And let's see, the Wednesday after this happened, we had an eyewitness tell us they had seen the brother with Veronica's little girl. She was in the back of the pickup truck, like just waving and smiling real big. And that was at Tiffany's house. And that was the Wednesday following the tragedy. So he is at least around now. I don't know about the sister.
Well, thank you for having me on tonight.
You're so welcome. Thank you for getting the courage to call in. It's not always easy, I'm sure. I think I'd be scared, but we appreciate it very much. We like to hear.
It's awesome.
Sometimes it's hard in the chat to get a full thought out, or so we appreciate you calling.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You have a wonderful
Aw.
evening.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, so it's all optics. Said Tiffany, in my humble opinion, wanted to have complete ownership of the grandchildren solely. If that happened, she would have no doubt molded them into her evil. That's exactly how I feel about it.
Yep, I do too. Let's see.
No, he
What-
wasn't. He was not at Tiffany's before the murders.
No, he was in rehab at least a week prior to. Oh, you've got a call.
He was married.
You've got a call. Did you hear your call?
Thank you for calling. Just don't state your name.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so glad you guys are covering this, and I'm so glad I found your channel. I was looking for somebody who had covered the custody case because I felt like there was a lot more going on than we could understand from what we were hearing, and learning
Right.
more about the custody case would really give you the insight. And I just feel like, I mean, there was 3 different judges that said that Veronica was a loving and specifically a fit parent. And, you know, not having like tangentially dealt with DCFS over the years, I know that they don't just take kids away from parents and give them supervised visits, with an established home for no reason. If she was living with the brother and the brother was accused and she refused to like move out from where the brother was, I could see that. But just like listening to what was written in the documents, that she was moving around a lot, she was losing jobs, it just felt like there was influence being used against her.
Yes.
And she kept trying to get further and further away from the influence. That's what I was reading between the lines. And I just feel like she must have felt very alone a lot of the time, being up against these people. and being so
Absolutely.
young.
And we all know now Tiffany had really, really good custody attorney. I mean, really good custody attorney. How is somebody in Veronica's shoes, to fight and go up against that? And it was just nonstop. I mean, since 2019. So 5 years worth of this that they'd had to go
Yeah.
through. And it's
And she
awful.
probably had to go to court a lot
Mhm.
and lost jobs because of that alone. And then I think one of the appeals she didn't file a response to, she probably didn't have the money to pay the attorney, but they tried to make everything that she did a negative. And I really just, and I felt like the grandmother from hell was just like using her influence every which way against this poor girl,
Yeah. And I know there's times as well that even though the Four Corners was supposed to be where they were supposed to meet, there were times that Tiffany would ask Veronica to meet her at her house. So that had happened previously. And then for the 2 weeks prior to this, Veronica had not been able to see the children because Tiffany had one excuse or another. But yeah, she was just constantly, I mean, I imagine it just feels like she was constantly harassed. And actually she was harassed. There's plenty of stories out there about it.
I mean, I kind of like, I moved to Texas a few years ago. I've been stalked for the last 8 years. I moved to Texas 3 years ago to just like get away from this person, and having had to deal with the police and then, kind of rolling their eyes when you tell them, look, I'm just trying to stay alive here. I really feel for her. And I know, I'm obviously a lot older than she is and a lot more established and stuff like that. And I just really feel for her because I know that it's hard when you're trying to get people to listen to you and everybody just rolls their eyes at you and goes, yeah, sure. So they told her she didn't need to do the custody exchanges, in the presence of an officer, which is so easy to do. It's no big deal. You show up to the police station and, exchange the kids at the police station. No big deal. Doesn't take any resources away from anybody else.
Right.
But, to force her out to like a desolate place,
Mm-hmm.
to exchange the kids, with somebody who clearly has a long history of, different criminal type behavior and, and so many tentacles in the community. It just seems really unfair.
Definitely. Yeah. And like Pine Needle protagonist said, can you imagine fighting the lawyer of Timothy McVeigh for custody? I mean, just crazy. She'd even hire somebody like that for a custody case anyway. But yeah,
Yeah,
she just
kind of ridiculous.
kind of a horrible woman. And I hate to think of what emotional, trauma those children have already had to go through just by, being in the belief system that this group has. And
Even, yeah, and being removed from their mother's home. I mean, it seems like they lived with Veronica their whole life until, until this supposed SA,
mhm,
allegations, and that alone is very traumatic for kids. Being ripped away from their family and then not even being able to see their mother for months on end. And
yeah,
the fact that she would still go and do the supervised visits, even though it's really a slap in the face to her as a mother and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, for a kid, I give her a lot of credit.
yeah. Everything we've heard is she was a good mom. She loved her children. She's a good person. I mean, I haven't heard anything bad about Veronica at all. The only
I
thing
haven't
bad I've
either.
heard is just in the court paperwork, and that all came from Tiffany. So, yeah, it's
Well, even
amazing
the way
that
that things were written,
amazing
just the way that.
let her get away with all that for so long.
Yeah, I thought the appeals were very revealing, and I'm so glad that you guys covered that because I had left a comment on one of your videos saying, "Oh, I wouldn't, I wish somebody would cover that." You said, "Oh, we did," so I went back and watched. The appeals I thought were very telling the way they were written. Like I said, just everything that she did, the fact that she didn't respond. Like I said, she probably couldn't pay for an attorney. Responding to emotion like that can cost thousands of dollars, and I'm sure she didn't have that.
Definitely.
And so to make it seem like, well, she didn't bother to respond. No, maybe she didn't have the resources to respond. And then saying, well, she's moved from place to place, and when people move from place to place, there's usually a reason. When people are moving around that much, it's either a money problem, and they're going from like family member to family member or friend to friend, or they're trying to get away from someone who's dangerous. It's usually either one or the other. It's because it being her being irresponsible didn't seem to fit with everything that had happened. And thank God for the original court judge that gave her custody a few times, despite obviously a lot of pressure on the other side, and the sheriff of the county testifying for the father.
Yeah, I mean, there was nobody really for her to turn to. Anytime she did, if it was law enforcement or the court, they were of no help to her. And
Right.
she was in, a really horrible predicament. She wanted to see her children. I know as a mom myself, you'd just about do anything for that. And yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm so glad that you guys covered that because it really, gave a lot of insight into what's going on. And I'm sure that it'll come out at some point that there was a lot of arm twisting and maybe a little corruption at a lot of levels, involving these people. And I just, when people in the town don't even want to speak about them because they're afraid of them, I think that says a lot about
it does. And when I was out there, I just heard from so many people. They had been threatened. They'd had a gun pointed at them. I mean, it was just nonstop. Business dealings, land, fights over just leasing land, even just things like that with Tad and Tiffany. Always just an issue with them.
It's just typical bully behavior.
It is. It absolutely is.
And people who get used to getting their way, they're worse than children when they don't get what they want. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But keep up the good work. I'm really
thank you. We appreciate that.
Enjoying your coverage, and I really hope that that out of this terrible tragedy, something good could happen.
I think it will. I think that Veronica's family, moving forward, trying to get some legislation and law passed, things like that. And I think you touched on it. It doesn't just because you have a meet, say at the police department or sheriff's department, doesn't mean that you have to have an officer supervising that. But they almost all have cameras and lights. If something's going to happen there, it's going to all be on camera. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand why that's just not, because I've covered, this is probably the 5th case that I've covered myself that had something to do with custody, and it ended up this way. and that has to change. So hopefully their tragedies will make a change for others in the future. And I think that's the best we can do is hold on to hope that something good will come out of it. And her family, I think, is definitely headed in the right direction.
The truth is that like the civil standby for the because this is what I know about child custody, DCFS, and all that I know about because of my soccer, and him and his ex-wife were doing the custody exchanges at the police department, and he got into a fight with the boyfriend and punched him in the face. And then he went inside and made a police report, so it's not like it completely stops people from doing crazy, crazy people do crazy things. But at the same time, I think it negates a lot of the, something like this would be more difficult to happen at the police station. It seems like they were intent on killing her one way or the other. So at some point
they were,
her job or whatever.
Exactly. They would have found her coming home from work or going to work or something. I don't know that without round the clock protection, I don't know that this could have been avoided. It should have been worked out in the courts much sooner, and it shouldn't have come to this. So,
yeah. Well, the small towns, I think, are low on resources. And then when you add into that somebody who has a certain amount of influence, she was really just, fighting a losing battle.
Yes, she was.
All the way around. And like I said, she probably felt very alone at times. But
yeah, and somebody just brought up in the chat, and I had been reading through some of the Tad's divorce records. And the person said the same thing happened with Tad's ex-wife and his daughter. Corruption, corruption, corruption. I can't say it more. That court system is corrupt, corrupt, corrupt. Yeah, Tad's ex-wife, she's been having to go through the same kind of crap with him for years and years and years.
Really?
And Tiffany's even in those, like as a protection order and stuff. So Tiffany, weaseled her way into that one as well.
Well, like I said, I think it's just typical bully behavior, and those type of people don't like to be said. They don't like it when people say no to them.
No.
So, but like I said, for such a young woman, I think Veronica was pretty special, and I feel terrible for Jilian's family.
Oh gosh, yes, both of them, all of the children. I mean, what a mess! And now it's not just theirs; it's Cole and Cora's children. It's going to be Paul's children. I mean, just so many people affected by it. So many, and so many children that, they're our future. And hopefully, man, they're going to need a lot of therapy. And I don't even know how, I just can't imagine growing up, knowing all this stuff. And especially, Cora's daughter and being told what they did and having to clean it up. And
well, the responsibility that was put upon her
really
to
too many steps to conceal what they were doing. It seems that because they always say loose lips sink ships, and I follow a lot of true crime, and it seems like it's always the mouthing off that gets them in trouble.
Yep.
Going all the way back to the Manson family, it seems like they always just run their mouth, and it ends up getting them in trouble. And I'm sure that it's a plot twist they didn't see coming, that a 16-year-old would have the guts to come forward and tell the truth like that. But I always find that fascinating, that they think that they can just run their mouths. And, I mean, the burner phones, first of all, are not like...
They weren't very smart criminals. They don't watch enough true crime, apparently.
I mean, burner phones are only not traceable to you, like, if nobody knows you have them. Right?
Right.
But,
yeah.
When people know you have it. It's I mean, it turns out that that's probably what told them where the burial was. So
I think that Tiffany is so used to getting away with things for so long, her and Tad both, that they thought that they'd get away with this as well. I truly do.
Somewhere I read that she was surprised to be arrested.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And it's like, if you did something, you shouldn't be surprised if you get caught. Right.
I mean, she was free roaming for the week after, she was in the dollar store taking the kids to school. She went and they bought a sawmill. I mean, she was out and about like nothing had ever happened.
Well, she probably thought if she did other things, and she probably thought that she'd be able to get away with this too.
They could come back for her 35 years later. But I mean, there always has to be some period of investigation unless you catch somebody in the act,
Right.
you know. And I feel like that's one thing that they actually did a pretty good job of, was investigating. And maybe it was because they brought in the OSBI or whatever. Maybe that's why it was kept secret, but it seems like they did a pretty good job of, you know, keeping secret what they were finding out and what was happening.
Yeah, they did an amazing job. Like I've said before, they left out local law enforcement and everything. So, yeah, they definitely did a great job. And to be able to arrest 5 people this quickly, I think is amazing.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm sure that it's, you know, helping the families a little bit
Oh,
to know
yes.
that at least people are being held accountable. It's probably, you know, I'm sure that the second that they didn't show up for the birthday party, you know, they knew that something was up, and I'm sure that those days that all of these people were out there walking around free was probably just killing them, because they knew who it was.
Definitely.
So
Yep.
I'm glad that they were able to make the arrest relatively quickly. You know, hopefully it brought the families just a little bit of relief.
I'm sure it did, like getting some answers fairly quickly, although, you know, weeks is forever when you're, I'm sure, family dealing with this, but they did get answers fairly quickly. You know, law enforcement also was not keeping them all updated either. So they knew very little. You know, they knew as much as the rest of us. And
Yeah.
and I understand why law enforcement does that, but I imagine how frustrating it'd be as a family, you know, to be getting those answers that, you know, that law enforcement has the answers, and they
Yeah.
have some information, and you just want any little piece of information, you know, so you can go on with that day. And I'm sure it was very, very difficult for all of them.
It's true. Look at the Koberger case. It's kind of the same thing. You know, Kaylee Gonzalez's family was, you know, very distraught on television quite a bit, and they knew a little bit that the public didn't know, but not a lot. And I don't think that they had any idea until it was actually happening that there was, you know, arrest happening and a suspect and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I think that's, like, they have to do that to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Yes, they do.
So, you know, but yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah, so I appreciate your coverage and yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for calling.
Have a good night, dear.
All right. Good night.
You too. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can.
Sweet.
All right. So I'm going to take the
Outstanding.
calling down. Okay. There we go. People are, so a lot, you know, there's a lot of chatter about Vern's or Cole's son Vern that passed away years ago. And I know there's a lot of questions about it. There's a lot of rumors surrounding it. All I can say is that, like, we're looking at it to see, but I don't think that is going to be something where Cole was involved with anything nefarious. I don't, that's how I feel right now. Tara might think differently, but we're still, like, trying to gather a lot of facts and put pieces together before we actually, you know, just truly talk about that. What do you think, Tara?
I agree. When that was brought to our attention, it didn't feel like it belonged. So we just it's one of those things we just kind of put to the side and waited for it to do its thing. And everybody just kept kind of bringing us back to it. And so we've started to kind of look into that a little bit. I don't know what's what in that one. Even developing a theory 4 years after the fact is a little bit difficult. So that one's open for opportunity and interpretation at this point where I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, I think.
So I want to address what Jackie's got on here real quick.
Yeah,
we'll
go right
to
ahead.
Jackie's. And she says, sadly, in small towns, local law enforcement's a joke. I've seen it and dealt with it firsthand in a small town in southern Kansas. So there's something specifically different from Kansas and Oklahoma when it comes to communities, specifically incorporated communities versus unincorporated communities. And this is part, in my opinion, part of the law enforcement and some of the stories around corruption. There's 3 counties in the Panhandle. The 2 that are involved in this case are Cimarron and Texas County, and each one has 1 city in it, which is the county seat. So it's either Boise City or Guymon. But there's a lot of towns. So towns are not incorporated, which means they don't have police departments. They're not a municipality, but the cities are. So Guymon and Boise City are the only 2 cities in that area. And they're the only 2 cities that have law enforcement, organized law enforcement. The rest don't. And so to your point, Jackie, some of it might be a joke because it's not there. Right. It might be easy to skirt around. There's, from what I understand, and Kari, I think this is something you and I discussed, their OSBI's involvement was pivotal because the local jurisdiction didn't have the manpower.
No, not at all. I mean, if you've only got, say, 4 sheriff's deputies for an entire county, they're pretty spread thin.
Yep.
And I believe that's about, how many, I'm not sure how many Texas or Cimarron County have. Cimarron probably has even less than Texas, but I imagine it's just not very much.
Yeah, it's not. It's very thin out there. And so there is the law enforcement angle has really caught our attention and curiosities for sure.
This Lynn said, Evil Alaska, I'm sorry you and your kids had to go through that. My ex turned abusive during our pregnancy, and I went to court for the abuse, and his mom tried to run me over in front of the courthouse. Wow. Tara and I actually briefly just brought it up the other day, but I've always thought about, doing something like this or a channel where it's just that those kind of stories can be discussed freely and openly, because I think that we still as a society tend to not brush it under the rug, but there's so much embarrassment for the woman in the situation. I mean, nobody wants to walk to town or go to your store with black eyes, right? It's embarrassing. And I think it doesn't get talked about enough. I just don't know and because with that same thing being said, I don't know if there's enough out there that would talk about it, because it is a very difficult subject, but I just think it's one that really needs to be addressed head on. And,
I agree.
Truly.
And I think like I said, Kari, we've had several discussions on that, and I think there's a path towards that, and I think it should be discussed, because that's I do a lot of coaching and mentoring of women trying to get out of those kind of relationships and work with themselves to get out of them, and I think there's a lot of space for that.
Yeah, I absolutely do as well. We might just have to work on that. Katie said, I'm always down for it. It's like something
I'm going to drag you into it
for a long time, just where you feel safe to be able to discuss it. And a lot of people keep that stuff really kind of deep down, and they only tell a few people. And I've heard women tell their stories, and it's like, once they do, it's just like all these bricks off of their shoulders, and I think we need to do that.
I think so.
Katie said, how could they get a fair trial in Texas County? It's my opinion that it'll be moved, but
I think it'll have to be there. It's not a big jury, not a big pool, pool to get juries. That's not going to sound right. There's not enough people for a jury there.
Right. That's how I feel too. Ruby Tuesday, Tara and Kari, I really appreciate your informed and empathetic approach to this case. It means a lot to us here in the Panhandle. Thank you. That comment means a lot to us. And Pine Needle said, Kari, Tara, give space for those stories would be wonderful.
I'll tell you what, I used to do, I'm in the Wichita area, and I used to rent out a space. A year ago, I tried kicking off a sort of open forum, and I touched on very tough subjects: suicide, domestic violence, human sex trafficking, the things that get us involved in those, and how we come out of those things, and how we not normalize them, but how we talk about them without feeling bad about talking about
shameful
them.
Exactly. Yeah, because the women going through it, and it's not just women, I mean, men get abused too, so don't get me wrong, but we just hear more of it with women. but
Yep.
there's definitely a shame that comes with it and victim blaming and things like that. And I just think that conversation is something that needs to be had. Jen said DV stalking is no fun and the victim blaming is ridiculous. Talking about it is empowering. I slept with bear spray under my pillow. Wow, for 5.5 years out of fear. I'm so sorry, Jen. Man.
We seriously, I mean, I've got a channel out there, Kari. Maybe we go do a couple of lives out there and we drag people over there to do that kind of forum.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Which it's not a real channel, folks. It's just sitting out there with nothing to do.
She says it's not a real channel. She's not a real YouTuber.
Oh, there will more than likely be a change of venue. I do think it will have to have a change of venue. I think some strategies are underway with some of these people.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate to be on this trial. I believe it would be moved. How do you find enough people that don't know someone that was involved? So it's not about having someone that was involved or knowing somebody. It's about, can you be unbiased? And I'll tell you what, I think our Facebook group is going to prevent anybody from being, you could go through and get so many people from that Facebook group. So I really think they're going to have to change it. I think that Facebook group is going to be a strong motivator for that, which I think is awesome. Because I think it's, there's just a lot of people know about it. But I think it does need to be moved. They do deserve a fair trial, but I think it's going to turn out no matter what the same way. I do think this is the end of the road for all 5 of them.
Oh, definitely. Yep. They are gone. I just don't think they're going to be back in society ever again. I'm finding enough jurors for 5 trials too. That's the other thing. We're not used to having these kind of things happen in the Panhandle, let alone find enough jurors for one person. Now you got 5 people. So I expect Enid, Oklahoma City, somewhere like that. I know everybody's like, they'll say everybody knows about this case. Everybody doesn't know about the case. It's just us that are always on it.
What would be interesting though, Kari, is let's say that the trial goes, they get out. Let's just say that. And let's say you've got at least 2 counties worth of really upset, pissed off people who understand now you can make people disappear. I'm just saying. I think they probably want to take their situation to the courts. I think they're going to have better luck there at this point.
Absolutely.
Says, I get it. Katie says, I get it. I had a restraining order and mine did time twice for violating, but it was only a couple of months. Then he was right back out. So even having the law on your side. Jen, I cannot begin to tell you how much I relate to your situation and how the law just does not understand this particular DV side of things, what it's like. And I think the best way to put it, because of how the law works and what they see, some of these individuals out there that are responsible for DV cases, they are angels in public, but monsters behind closed doors.
Yeah. Yeah. And another big problem with DV too is that, a lot of times there are states that the state will prosecute regardless, but there's still states that they don't. And sadly, and for many, many different reasons, it could be financial, it could be because you have children together, it could be so many different reasons. A lot of times women will not follow through with those charges. They get dismissed and then the person goes on to do it again. And usually it's even worse the next time. They do it to somebody else even worse.
I didn't follow through with my charges.
Right?
Nope.
Yep. I bet you every single one of us knows at least one woman. Guaranteed. Kevin Rice, thank you so much for becoming a new member. We appreciate you.
Kevin. Hello, Kevin. Oh my goodness. I know,
All
Kevin.
right.
Kevin is awesome.
Yes. So that's about all I have. Anything else you want to touch on, Tara? Hopefully we were able to kind of cover everything for you guys and get you caught up to speed.
Just that if you, so I'm going to say this, and Kari will probably smack me later, and that's okay. The live was not scheduled. It was kind of pressured into, so pressure it again. That's how we get Kari to go live, is you go out on the Facebook group and tell her to go
Right.
live, and she shows up, which is kind of awesome.
She's not lying. I'm like, somebody said, "Are you going to do live?" I was like, "No." And then
she's like, yes.
And then some of you were like messaging and being like, "You got to do live. You got to do live." Okay, fine. I will do it. But I'm glad, because I think we learned a lot, and hopefully you guys did too. And I learn every time we do one. I learn even more myself. So I enjoy hearing everybody's thoughts and opinions, and everybody's always so respectful in the chat too. So
we've got
really,
great chat.
really appreciate that. Like,
absolutely,
that was you. All right. Well, it worked.
Awesome.
You guilted me right into it.
Love it, Pine.
Yep.
Yeah. So, for those that, if you heard something tonight, you didn't want to go into the chat and share your thoughts or share information, or if you just want to share anything, go to the Facebook group and find the admins. Kari and I are listed as admins. You can tell the mods to have us reach out to you, so you don't have to send us a message through the mods. But if you want to connect, we're happy to connect with you and give you a space to openly speak. We're not going to drill you for information. If you just need a space to talk, we are very happy to listen, because it's an ongoing situation. It's going to be ongoing. It's absolutely tragic and devastating for so many folks, particularly the children that are involved. And so please feel like you've got the support to reach out and talk with us.
Yeah, we have many that are friends or family, and they're, struggling, and they do reach out to us. So you guys, if there's somebody in here, feel free. And it doesn't even have to be about this. I get lots of messages about different things too. So we're both available at any time. Just reach out through Facebook. That's the easiest way. And the Facebook group, Evil Alaska, it is in the description of the video. So if you just go to the video description, you'll find it on all of them. And again, Lynn, thank you so much. All right.
Lynn, we will see that.
Well, it looks like Melanie Little is going live now to cover this. Okay. So we'll let everybody go. Melanie does great coverage as well. But other than that, that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a nice crowd tonight and lots of conversation, and I appreciate it. Appreciate Tara always. So with that said, you guys have a wonderful evening. Head over to Melanie's if you want a little bit more coverage on it. And we'll see you in the Facebook group, and we'll be back live probably in a couple of days.
We'll see you guys. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you, Tara. Night, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.